Hey y'all. Give me a moment while I get Instagram up here. Okay, here we go. Royalty free music for y'all. Y'all see how we be leveling up here? Don't mind me. Do y'all like this music intro? Please let me know. Otherwise, we can just cut to it. All right. But let's put that in the put that over there for now. Hello, everybody. Happy Tuesday, guys. I think we're gonna go for Tuesdays. Mondays have just become way too hectic for me. But happy Tuesday. Welcome to Who's Getting Sued This Week. Brought to you by myself, Natalie Pierre-Lewis, host of the show and owner of NPL Consulting Firm, a business formation firm. Okay. So before we get started, let's do a quick recap of what we covered last week. Last week, we talked about Kevin Hart suing his assistant because she violated an NDA, and she was saying, well, the NDA doesn't matter because you didn't give me health insurance, and we talked about the issues for that. We also talked about Dame Dash being told by the court that he owes a filmmaker $4 million for defamation because he claimed that the filmmaker stole his idea for a movie, and that caused the filmmaker to lose out on a $4 million job. And the other big story that we talked about last week was, we talked about Leah McSweeney suing Bravo, claiming that it was their fault that she relapsed and started drinking again. She's a recovering alcoholic, and she was suing the show for causing that. So those were the major things that we talked about last week. And a quick update. One of the other stories we talked about was LL Bean was suing for Imprints, which is a distributor who makes stuff for Shein and Fashion Nova and all that stuff. They were previously suing for imports for trademark infringement because of their boat and tote line, because LL Bean has had that trademark since about 1965, but they have recently settled that lawsuit. They haven't said why they settled it, but I personally think they settled it because the canvas bags that LL Bean was suing about, they are so generic, and a lot of people were saying that they were so generic that LL Bean might have worried about, being told that their trademark is no longer valid, because that can happen. If your name becomes too common, it can become generic and you can lose your trademark. All right. So those were the updates from last week. But now let's move on into the present. Okay. Our first story, I need all my Haitians to the floor. I need all my Haitians to the floor. All my Haitians to the floor. Okay, share screen. Window. Okay. All right. So anybody who's not Haitian, just watch. I promise it's going to get interesting. All right. So in the Haitian community, right, there has been this rising star by the name of Joël Douet Filet. Right? Joël Douet Filet has this song that came out in October of 2024 called Cat Campé. This song has been on fire in the Haitian community, right? And then recently, he did a remix, which included Burna Boy. Now, we know how global Burna Boy is, and you put Burna Boy on a track, to the moon, right? Anyway, Cat Campé out here doing numbers. However, another Haitian artist, an older Haitian artist by the name of Fabrice Wouzier, he is suing both Burna Boy and Joël Douet Filet because he's saying that the song Cat Campé, which Burna Boy did the remix for with Joël Douet Filet he's saying that it is a ripoff of his song Je Vais. Right? Now, here's the interesting thing. Fabrice Wouzier filed the copyright for this song in this year, 2025. He made the song over 20 years ago. Here's the thing. When he made the song was actually a popular song back in Haiti by a live band. Like if you guys are from the DMV areas, you know, you got the go-go bands and things like that. And yes, they record. Well, you had kind of the same thing, especially back in the day in Haiti, but they weren't necessarily recording, but groups did become popular. So there was a popular song that was in Haiti that Fabrice Rousier, he took it upon himself to record and make his own lyrics and make it his own. So essentially he did a cover of a popular Haitian song called Je Vais, right? And he did, you know, put his own spin on it. He asked the original artist to come in on it and say something. He had who is it that Haitian comedian, was it Lucky Shot or Papa? Yeah, one of them had them on it, right? So now Fabrice Rousier, because of the popularity of Kat Kampe, I'm assuming he, you know, made sure he got his copyrights, I guess, filed, and is now suing Joey Duet Filet and Fabrice and Burner Boy for copyright infringement. But again, guys, I want to reiterate to you, it is important that you have these things in place before these things happen. Okay. Now, I don't know, you know, what's going to go down between Fabrice and Joey Duet Filet and Burner Boy and all of this, but Fabrice Rousier could have, you know, prevented a lot of confusion or issues if he had registered his copyright in the first place. Now, of course, this was many years ago. Not everybody was thinking about it. But again, you're an artist. You want to protect your work. That's how you make your money, right? So Fabrice Rousier, while he is older, and there is no denying that he has a song Je Vais. There is no denying that, you know, there may be some elements that Joey Duet Filet may have used. But the thing is, Fabrice, why did you not file the copyright sooner, right? But we will have to wait and see what happens between that. But I want to know from you guys in the comment box, do you think that Fabrice Rousier should get a piece of that Kat Kampe remix money or the Kat Kampe money? Does Fabrice Rousier deserve some wood in his pocket? You know, for Kat Kampe. If you think that Fabrice Rousier deserves you know, a piece of that royalty money from Kat Kampe, particularly the remix, give me a, no, I'm not even gonna do that. Give me an F in the comments if you think that Joey Duet Filet should, you know, he should be able to you know, fly and succeed without hindrance by Fabrice. Please give me a J in the comments. All right. Okay. Let me take these down now. All right. That was for my Haitians. Okay. Next story that we are talking about tonight. All right. Let me bring this up real quick. This is our title story. And I want you guys to listen very, very carefully. Listen, girly pops. All right. I know we're all out here trying to get fined for summer. And a lot of you have, you know, gotten on the GLP-1 train, whether it be Ozempic or Mounjaro, Wegovy, whatever it is. If you have taken any of these medications for weight loss, please give me a syringe in the comment box, okay? Because I have some news for you. Here's the thing. So, one of the big pharmaceutical companies, Eli Lilly, right? They created this, one of the GLP-1s, which is the active ingredient in these weight loss medications, called tirzepatide, okay? This is the active ingredient specifically in Mounjaro. Now, I labeled it as your Ozempic fake, but, you know, everybody's familiar with Ozempic. But Eli Lilly, they created the active ingredient for that goes in Mounjaro and Zepbound. I have this little graphic up here so you guys can see all of the approved GLP-1s, right? Here's the problem. Because originally these medications were prescribed for diabetics. It was to control your blood sugar. Now, when they found out that there was a side effect that you lost weight, everybody went crazy. I know at least 5 of y'all out here right now who's on one of these GLP-1s, right? But why I wanted to what the story is here is that Eli Lilly is suing some of these telehealth companies that are providing supposed GLP-1s. Now, remember, I said that these GLP-1s, like tirzepatide, they were created to treat diabetes. But because so many people were getting prescribed these GLP-1s, specifically tirzepatide, to help them lose weight, there was a lack of supply of tirzepatide. So the active ingredient that was helping people lose weight wasn't no more, because y'all were taking it all. There was none for the diabetics because everybody was taking it to lose weight. Okay. So what Eli Lilly and other people did, they went to compound companies. Okay. Now, these are companies where they don't create the actual drug, but what they do is, they build compounds that are close to that FDA approved drug. And Eli Lilly was purchasing it from them and using that to boost their tirzepatide until they could get their they could get their supply back in order, right? So essentially they were saying, hey, we don't have no tirzepatide, but if y'all could make me something like a tirzepatide or a tirzepatide, I want that, right? So they were letting these companies cook for a while, but now the supply of tirzepatide is back up, and Eli Lilly is like, okay, we back in business. But these companies that they hired to make these compounds, they have not stopped making them. As a matter of fact, they are now selling them to us, the consumers, directly. Some of you may have heard of these companies, such as Mochi Health, Fella Health, Delilah, and Henry Meds. Okay, they are all able to prescribe you GLP-1s, and they're telling you that they're the same ingredients as the big names, Ozempic and things like that. But the thing is, their versions are not FDA approved, right? So you've got companies out here that are promoting themselves like they are providing you the real tirzepatide that Eli Lilly has spent millions of dollars producing. And Eli Lilly is now suing these companies, saying, no, you don't have the right to sell it as tirzepatide, at least not anymore, because we've got our supply up. So please stop selling people fake weight loss drugs. Now, some people might argue Eli Lilly is just salty because, they want to make more money. That may be true. But Eli Lilly also has the intellectual property that is bound to this active ingredient that allows them to sue all of these other companies. So if you want to get your weight loss drugs from these online companies that give you the commercials, that's fine. But understand that that is not the actual drug that you could get from your PCP. These are compounds that are not FDA approved. And that, I think that may be the big deal with Eli Lilly, because we don't know how these drugs that are not FDA, how they're going to affect you down the road, right? And if they're not FDA approved and you're taking something that's not FDA approved, that's on you. You don't really have a recourse. That's the reason why we have the FDA. So again, if you are thinking about taking one of these weight loss drugs, please make sure it is from, your doctor and not one of these necessarily online companies, because those particular weight loss products are not FDA approved. They have taken the active ingredient in the name brand weight loss drugs, and they have done a little tinkering, and now they're selling them to you. Okay, so tell your friends. All right. Do we have any questions on that? Let me know in the comments. Instagram, what's going on over here? Y'all got any questions for me? How do I see the thing? Okay. Okay. Let me take this down. If you have just popped in, you are watching Who's Getting Sued This Week. The title today is is your Ozempic fake? What did I name this show? Oh, are you taking fake Ozempic? Okay. So those were our first two big stories of the night. Okay. Post this photo. I'm sure you know who this gentleman is. We talked briefly about him last week. Right here. Okay. Here. There we go. Shannon Sharpe. So last week, I told you guys that the person who was accusing Shannon Sharpe hired Tony Busby, the lawyer who has filed all of these lawsuits against Diddy, right? And I told you that that might affect her, her case, because Tony Busby doesn't really have a good reputation out here in these streets because he's really messy. And I had direct evidence of that. I listened to a particular podcast and they were talking about the Shannon Sharpe situation. And one of the hosts said verbatim, when I heard that she hired Tony Busby as her attorney, I thought that, this is just a cash grab. That is not a good look when you are an attorney. As an attorney, you need to have an impeccable reputation. And because Mr. Busby has been in the news so often for things unrelated to his legal prowess, people now kind of get a bad taste in their mouth when they hear his name when it comes to lawsuits. They're automatically assuming that there is some type of cash grab involved, that it's not up and up, right? So Tony Busby, while he has updated his online pictures, because the ones that were popping up when you typed in Tony Busby were not flattering, his reputation is still tarnished out in these streets, right? So this young lady who hired him as her attorney, now while we're hearing more and more that, Shannon Sharpe may actually be at fault, I don't know. The fact that she had hired this particular attorney kind of made people raise their eyebrows as to the validity of her lawsuit against him. So again, this is why brand reputation is very important, because Tony Busby's reputation ain't that great out here in these lawyers' streets, right? So when you have a brand, when you are giving people, when you are selling people a service or a good, you want to keep your reputation stellar. All right. Okay. So that was just a quick reminder of all that icons. Next story that we are talking about. Here we go. Why isn't it opening? Oh, here, because it's here. Okay. Next story that we are talking about. How many of y'all have ever had Crumbl cookies? If you've had Crumbl cookies, give me a cookie emoji in the comments. If you have had Crumbl cookies, give me a cookie emoji in the comments, and using a thumbs up or a thumbs down, let me know whether you like Crumbl cookies or not, okay? Let me know whether you like Crumbl cookies. Why am I talking about Crumbl cookies today? Well, Crumbl cookies is in a little bit of a kerfuffle. Where's my book? I got so wrapped up in this Tony Busby story, I lost my book, y'all. Hold on. Did I drop it? It couldn't have gone far. Did y'all see what I did with my book? Oh, here we go. All right. So, Crumbl Cookies is in some hot water with Warner Media Group because Crumbl Cookies uses popular songs and social media to promote their brand. Okay. Now, before we get into that, I've had Crumbl Cookies. You know, they're big, they're soft. I don't get why there was this big. I don't know. I guess things just have their moment. Like when everybody was crazy over that chicken sandwich, for some reason, everybody was crazy over Crumbl Cookies for a while, but that has died down. As a matter of fact, I did the poll in my stories and I asked you guys if you like Crumbl Cookies, and only 2 of you said yes out of 8 people who answered. So about 25% of you liked Crumbl Cookies, right? But Crumbl Cookies in promoting maybe some of the success they had in promoting their brand was the fact that they use, current music and they use social media. The problem is Crumbl Cookies never had license to use that music, the copyrights, right? Remember, when you are using somebody's creation to make money, you're supposed to get a license from them, right? Especially when it's music. Now, Crumbl Cookies used songs from the Warner Music Group catalog without permission. So Warner Music, and they used about 150 of songs from Warner Music Group's catalog. So Warner Music Group is now suing Crumbl Cookies for copyright infringement because they use these songs without a commercial license, and they want $150,000 per use, which could amount to about $24 million in damages or fines for Crumbl Cookies. This is why you need to get licenses in place so you don't have lawsuits like this come against you. When you are using someone's work to make money, when you are using someone's work to make money, let me say it again. When you are using someone's work to make money, you need permission, okay? Now, when we're on social media, and we're doing our reels or TikToks or whatever, that is built into the the app, because we're not, in general, for most of us, we're not going to be making money off of our posts. But Crumbl Cookie, you are a company out here. You're posting in different places with you need a commercial license. I remember there was a story about there was some product they were having social media influencers promote it. The social media influencers were using copyrighted music, but the company got sued because they weren't supposed to do that. Like you need to get a license. Anyway, Crumbl Cookies, that's the way the cookie crumbles. You should have gotten a copyright license, okay? But yeah, give me your thoughts on Crumbl Cookies in the comments. All right. Okay. Let me stop this screen. See who's up next. Thank y'all for sticking with me. Again, welcome to Who's Getting Sued This Week. So far, we have talked about Shannon Sharpe and Tony Busby. We've talked about Crumbl Cookies. We've talked about Joey Duet-Filet getting sued by Fabrice Rousier. We've talked about how your weight loss medications are fake. This next one is going to be a quick one, but a cute one. How many of y'all remember this little bundle of joy? Okay. How many of y'all remember this cute kitty right here? If you remember the name of this cute kitty, put it in the comments for me, okay? For those of you who may not know, this cat is very famous. This cat is known as Grumpy Cat across the interwebs. Grumpy Cat had a big following. Unfortunately, Grumpy Cat is no longer with us. However, because of Grumpy Cat's popularity in social media, Grumpy Cat's owner had the foresight to protect their pet's image and likeness, right? So because Grumpy Cat was getting all famous, Grumpy Cat's humans said, hey, y'all can't just go using my baby's face on what you want. So they protected it. They copyrighted the face, right? And they also have a line, a trademarked line of Grumpy Cat merch. However, there is a poor lady who apparently didn't know how copyrights and licenses work and trademarks. Her name is Alda Curtis. Alda is 63 years old, and she made a Grumpy Cat t-shirt. She made a Grumpy Cat t-shirt. She just put the face on the shirt. She sold one t-shirt on Etsy. Now again, I'm telling you, Miss Alda sold one t-shirt on Etsy. How much do you think, what's the most you think Miss Alda Curtis got for her Grumpy Cat t-shirt? Okay. Now, while you put that in the comments, let me tell you what happens after she sold this, right? So Grumpy Cat's owner, who has the rights to the likeness and image of the cat, saw that everybody's making Grumpy Cat merch without their permission. So they started suing everybody. They didn't care if you was big, small, tall, short, fat, skinny, white, black. They sued anybody who was selling Grumpy Cat merch without their permission, including Miss Alda Curtis. Now remember, Miss Alda only sold one of these Grumpy Cat t-shirts, but because the court just did a broad, judgment against all of these merchants. They weren't looking at them individually because Miss Alda wasn't sued individually. She was sued amongst a group of people. The court sided with Grumpy Cat's owner and judged and told Alda, Miss Ma'am, because of this shirt that you sold, that maybe you sold for $20, you owe Grumpy Cat's owner $100,000. $100,000 for a t-shirt that probably at most she sold for $20. Okay, so this is why it's important to not sell things that are licensed, that have intellectual property on them, because then you can get a judgment against you for thousands of dollars when you sold something that was super cheap. A few years ago, there was a woman on eBay selling fake Michael Kors phone cases. They were like $5 a piece. Michael Kors tried to sue her for $250,000. Guys, just because you're selling them for cheap doesn't mean that the owners of the marks are going to take cheap money, okay? So save yourself the trouble, because Miss Alda now has to go and fight against these companies and say, look, I only sold one shirt. I think I maybe made $3 profit. Y'all really want $100,000 from me? She has to go and fight with them now. Okay, so this is why you don't want to end up in a situation like Miss Alda Curtis. They already took $600 out her PayPal. All right. So my creators out there, you need to be careful. Please do not, do not sell things that you know are protected by their companies. Or if you want to sell something that may be popular out there, do some research and see if it has been protected first. Okay. All right. But yeah, let me know in the comments, how much do you think that Miss Alda should have to pay Grumpy Cat's human, if anything? Should Grumpy Cat's human just let it go? Let it go. Let me know what you think. Okay. All right. And let me stop that. No, that's not what I wanted. All right. We only have a couple more stories, and then I'm going to let y'all go for the night. Thank you for hanging with me. Y'all are great. What's our thing? Yes, this is our lovely story. Before I go into this one, if any of y'all have ever heard of Turkey Leg Hut? I don't know if you remember, but Turkey Leg Hut, it was a franchise. They basically sold turkey legs stuffed with stuff. Anyway, they went out of business. Something happened to a location. Well, the owner apparently has been indicted for fraud. Apparently, he set the restaurant on fire for the insurance money, and now he's going to jail. So don't do that, y'all. Biz tip. All right. Okay. Our last story of the evening. If you recognize this person's face, wait, is it not on? Oh, hello. Hold on. Here we go. All right. If you recognize this person's face, please put the name in the comments. If you recognize this person's face, please put it in the comments. If you do not, let me educate you. This is Billy MacFarland. He is the creative genius behind Fyre Festival 1 and 2. Now, if you remember, Fyre Festival 1, it was some huge weekend festival that was supposed to be happening in the Bahamas with all of these artists. But it never happened. People spent up to like $250,000, and they were stuck out there like FEMA tents with no food, no water. It was awful, right? Billy MacFarland actually ended up serving 4 years in prison for that scam because, you know, he made a lot of people lose money. Well, Billy MacFarland, he is a man of great confidence, and he was like, you know, that was just the first try. Let's do this again. So Billy MacFarland tried to put on Fyre Festival 2. Guess what happened? Exactly the same thing that happened to the other one. Nothing. They didn't have no acts, no nothing. Apparently, people, you know, before even it took place, they were refunding people's money. They're like, it's not happening. Big surprise. So now Billy MacFarland is giving y'all a deal. He said, if you want to buy the branding for Fyre Festival, it's available. So if you want to get if you want the rights to the trademarks for Fyre Festival using the name, any of that, you can get that from Billy. I'm sure he'll cut you a good deal, right? Now, nobody who I know who is in their right mind would purchase anything from Billy MacFarland. I wouldn't buy a piece of paper from you. But apparently someone has purchased the branding rights from Fyre Festival, and they're going to be using it for a streaming music service. Now, here's why I'm looking at this with a side eye. Now, I watched both of the documentaries that they had about Fyre Festival and Billy MacFarland, and one thing that stood out to me was that when Billy got out, or at the end of the documentary, you know, and everything had fallen apart with Fyre Festival, Billy was on to the next scheme. He was out here trying to put together another I don't know, business venture, but he wasn't putting himself at the face of it. He had a friend or some business associate who was like sending out all the communication and whose name was on everything. But Billy MacFarland is the brains, you know, the guy behind the curtain. So in my brain, I don't have any evidence as to this, but this person who has purchased the rights to Fyre Festival for a streaming music service, I really think it's just a friend of Billy's who he maybe, you know, they did some type of, you know, sham thing. I don't know. He gave him $1 and it's like, just say you're the owner, but Billy's really running it. But that is just my humble opinion. Okay. But yeah, so Billy MacFarland is selling the Fyre Festival brand. Would you purchase the Fyre Festival brand? Let me know in the comments. Okay. Yes. So I think we've covered all of the stories for tonight. Being Eli Lilly, Crumpy Cat, Billy MacFarland, Circular Cut. Yeah. So those are the stories that I wanted to share with you guys. I will be splitting these up and putting them with the individual titles and things. If you have any questions about the stories that we covered tonight, you can always go back and watch, or you can hit me up in the DMs if there's a question that wasn't answered in my discourse. And if you like what you watch, you know, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Maybe, you know, send a little something into the cash app right there, because, you know, a girl got bills to pay. But yes, I will be back next Tuesday. That is the goal. With more stories for you guys. If you find anything that you want me to talk about Anything that you are interested in, please, please, please send it my way and we can talk about it. Hold on, let me, oh, you know what? I forgot about these. Let me see. Oh, sorry. Last thing I wanted to tell you before we log off. So y'all have seen all of these. America has a problem with betting and gambling. All these things, DraftKings, whatever. So recently, the NCAA made a deal with the official ones, so that you're going to be able to bet on your college sports legally now. Great. I don't understand why people gamble. I don't get it. I'm risk averse. But this is another reason why it's important that these college students are getting paid now, because now you're allowing people, not only the schools, and the businesses, to make money. Now people are going to be able to bet on the college games, and you don't want to pay these kids, please. All right. So yeah, so that's where I'm going to leave you guys. Have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.